Coach, we'll start with you here because one of your favorite segments. This isn't an official must-win segment, just a must-win question. Is this a must-win?
For who?
Well, I like to leave it a little open-ended. It's Kansas City, but I want to, if you want to do a dance.
Yeah, it
Want to do a dance.
it is not a must-win, but it's a game. I don't really look forward to that many early season games, but this is definitely one.
Checked out the schedule, Coach?
Yeah,
Circled some games? It's been almost a decade with you now. Yeah. I've got you on my side on this. I love it.
The role that Kansas City's in, they haven't been in for so long, to actually be the team that's hunting as opposed to being hunted. It's such a unique situation for not just the team, but for Patrick Mahomes. And coming off the performance they had, was it 6 sacks, 3 turnovers, 23 minutes time of possession, to be absolutely dominated in the Super Bowl, and then have an opportunity to, you're never going to avenge a loss like that, but at least to recalibrate and hopefully recalibrate in a meaningful way that early in the season. It's going to be important. And it's also going to be important from Philadelphia's perspective to gauge where they are. Was that just a hot streak that they had at the end of the season where they hit it right, or is that legitimately the team that they're going to be moving into next season?
Yeah, I don't think it's a must-win. I think Kansas City is mentally tough enough to, if they do lose that game, to one, know you've got all season to build and improve. And look, how many regular season games have they lost to Buffalo? And then they beat them in the playoffs. Now, this is different because Philly had beaten them in the postseason. But I just think that they'll be able to survive. If they do lose this game, they'll be fine. I would say it's probably a must not get blown out.
Oh,
like if Philly was to beat them like they beat them in the Super Bowl, again, I think Chiefs are mentally tough. Remember a few years ago when they started a season poorly, I can't remember what their record was. It was round 500 or something, and people were starting to write them off, and then they started having fun, and they start winning again. And
like 3-5.
They come back, right?
They had a 3-5 stretch. They didn't start 3-5.
Yeah. But they came back from that. So that shows the mental toughness of this team. But I do think if they got blown out and basically beat like they did in the Super Bowl, that would be interesting to see if they met them in the Super Bowl, how they would.
Well, yeah. So that is a very specific scenario that I would agree with you on. If they were to get blown out and then also both teams make the Super Bowl again, Philly would have a significant mental edge. Like, and by the way, they beat them. They beat them the last time they played because that's when Sirianni was screaming at the fans. Right. So I do not believe Kansas City has must-win regular season games. And I think that this is another instance where I see, because I still think Kansas City is, I understand this one game, they are the team trying to get revenge, but I still think they are the other team's Super Bowl on their calendar. I think even this year, if the same teams play the Chiefs and play the Eagles, I think the Chiefs is the marquee game because the Chiefs are the marquee team.
Can I
sure.
pivot off that? If the Eagles beat the Chiefs, do you think that holds for the rest of the year in this game?
I don't.
Because I understand what you're saying, kind of a dynasty. You guys got one.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I'm sorry, I apologize for not giving a good answer. Like, I think I would have to see if I don't right now feel like there is, and the Eagles kicked the Chiefs' ass. They're the deserved champions. There was nothing fluky about it. I don't feel a mystique yet around Philadelphia that still exists around Kansas City. Now, it's existed for different reasons. Last year it was, they win a game by blocking a kick. They win a game this way, you know what I mean? The mystique. And I think that can only be built over years. What I do, go ahead.
Don't you think, though, that mystique could be severely damaged if Philly takes Kansas City's lunch money again?
They
bully them like they bullied them in the Super Bowl?
Yes and no, because the problem with that is because the Bengals beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, and then beat them in the next regular season game, and then when they played in the playoffs again, the Chiefs won. I think people will say the mystique is damaged or whatever it is. But I think until Kansas City has a postseason that doesn't end with them playing in the Super Bowl, which it's been 4 years since then, or a postseason that ends prematurely, that doesn't end with them at least in the conference championship game, which it's been almost a decade, I still think that there is going to be a level of unshakable confidence, at least within the team. Sure. And what I find at least somewhat interesting, if we can spend another minute on this, is every year the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl, there has been a lot of discussion of, man, so hard to repeat. Like, you know what, you're not actually the defending champs. No one can take that championship from you. You have to start all over, all it is. And then the Chiefs actually did repeat, and it was, okay, well, now they're trying to do something literally no one's ever done. There doesn't seem to be any of that for Philly this year. Nobody's like, man, only one team's repeated in the last 20 years. You know what I mean? And it's the Chiefs. There doesn't seem to, a lot of yeah, they're great, but it's so hard to do it a second time that we've seen with every champion, including the Chiefs going to multiple Super Bowls, doesn't seem to exist with Philadelphia, which I find at least interesting because Philadelphia was not even like the dominant team of their conference last year. During the regular season, it was all Lions. You know what I mean? Like the Lions were the team that was
I think
the one seed and the team to beat. And so it's just interesting how much that dominant Super Bowl performance has kind of propelled them into this coming season in people's eyes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is because Hurts is, and again, he gets respect, but he's not yet that level of quarterback where you're just, I think that's what it is. Because if you look at that team, everywhere else, they're elite. And he's elite, but he's not in the,
but you think that, and the storyline.
I think that's why people aren't like, oh, they're going to repeat and things like that.
And the storyline of the team was really Saquon Barkley and the defense. It wasn't Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
And
Hurts was a question mark at some point.
I'm saying the opposite, Brew. I'm saying I think people have more confidence that the Eagles are going to come back just like the team they were last year. This dominant force. They're the Super Bowl favorites right now. Then when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, and the next day the Niners were the favorites to win the next Super Bowl. Yep. You know what I mean? And so last year I don't remember who was the favorite going into the year. Maybe it was Kansas City. I'm not sure. But Philadelphia, it feels like, is really riding this wave of that they are the unquestioned team to beat. That in theory makes sense because they're the defending Super Bowl champions, but it's not how the Rams were underdogs their first game as the defending Super Bowl champs against Buffalo. Like, it's not how the previous champs have been treated.
From one dynasty to another, pictures emerging from some offseason work with the Patriots offense. You have Drake Maye out here, Kendrick Bourne, Stephon Diggs, fresh off a new relationship, Hunter Henry, Jalen Polk, Ramondre, Pop Douglas. This warms my heart. The question that we were going to ask the group was, is anyone willing to guarantee that Drake Maye has a breakout year? I can go if anybody.
Yeah, why don't you go?
You go.
Okay. Earlier I said, Coach, I had something for you that I would guarantee. So I will give everybody the point that the Patriots' offensive weapons may not be on par with Joe Burrow. Okay?
May not be?
Yeah. May not be.
Not.
Yeah, it's
not even close.
Yeah. Tomato. But I am putting all of my faith in Drake Maye getting better and the resurgence and comeback of Josh McDaniels, who, if you remember, Mac Jones, who you guys all think is not good, but with Mac Jones and Josh McDaniels, the Patriots had the 6th-ranked scoring offense. Just is what it is. It wasn't all Tom Brady. That was Mac Jones and Josh McDaniels. Now, Mac Jones was a one-dimensional quarterback. Josh McDaniels, then the next year, the previous year, had Cam Newton, and he was able to utilize Cam's running because Cam's arm wasn't what it used to be. We also have this stat. Now Josh McDaniels gets to use a guy who has a great arm and is basically a version of 06 Michael Vick, 1990 Randall Cunningham. Then it's Drake Maye last year.
So can I say something about this?
I'm not done with this graphic. 2011 Michael Vick with the Eagles.
I,
and then 04 Michael Vick.
So can I say something
Drake
about
Maye
this graphic?
Is right up there.
Because this was, and I appreciate
Josh McDaniels.
Hold on.
Oh,
I
my.
appreciate Danny sitting in for me Friday, but it was a grievous error by Danny not seizing on this when you debuted this Friday, and I watched it while walking around a Sacramento neighborhood.
Sure.
The reason Drake Maye is on this graphic is because, and I looked it up, he did, you know the worst thing for your yards per rush for quarterbacks? What kills them?
Kneel downs?
Kneel downs. And Drake Maye, by virtue of being a part of 2 wins, and by the fact that the Patriots were never in kneel-down situations, and he played a limited schedule, not playing the whole game. That's why it's a minimum of 50 rushes. Yeah. This is as fake of a fake stat that's a real stat as I've ever seen.
Well, Michael Vick used to be on the show. Do you want to tell him that he
No, because Vick, no, that's the point. Vick is on there despite having kneel-downs.
Why, what about Randall Cunningham?
Again, he's on there.
What about 04 Michael?
This is what I'm saying. You didn't, when Josh gave you this stat, you didn't look at it and say, I knew Drake Maye had some nice runs, but something doesn't pass the smell test here. So your argument for the breakout year for Drake Maye is you have one of the most dynamic rushing threats at quarterback in league history.
Certainly looks like it. and he hasn't even been teamed up with Josh McDaniels yet.
Okay.
Who knows what Josh McDaniels is going to do with this offense?
Here's the question I have.
I had to go to Coach.
You have more?
No, I was Coach because Coach has a lot of Drake Maye skepticism. But he's a Josh McDaniels believer, so it's kind of a
I am
movable
very
force.
skeptical about Drake Maye, but I do believe that he has his best chance to be successful and have a breakout season with Josh McDaniels. And I do think that Mac Jones owes a lot of his success to Josh McDaniels.
Well, it's his only success.
And it used to it frustrated me so much when Josh left at that point, and Mac Jones like, I've had a million offensive coordinators. I can do this in the NFL.
That was unwise.
Yeah, that was not.
Turns out,
and it
hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, it is. And if Drake Maye will, if he's bright, which it sounds like he is, if he's hardworking, which it sounds like he is, he has an opportunity to grow in a substantial way in this offense, which is a well put together, well thought out, and should lean into a lot of his skill sets. So there's a lot of hope.